Hello and welcome to Pedal and Ash. I'm your learner Glithy, and today we're going to look at grammar, or more specifically, grammar that I suck at. So, first, I need to give you a disclaimer. This is not an instructional video, though it might help. Moreover, I'm going to speak Japanese in this, and that might send you running for the hills. So, let's get down to it. The first set of grammar I want to look at is the four horsemen of if or conditionals. So this is to, nara, tara, and ba. So first, I want to give a brief explanation of these different things before I talk about why they bother me. So the first one is to. So for example, sato o ireru to amaku narimasu. If when you add sugar, it gets sweet. Amai mono o ippai taberu to futoru. If you eat a lot of sweets, you will gain weight. So when A happens, B follows. As a result, that is assumed to be true and obvious, a result that is known to be true, the opposite of a result that is assumed to be true. Yeah, I know that's a lot, but I'm trying to give the real grammar reason before I give my extra. Next is tara. So, kohi o nondara shigoto ni ikimasu. If when I finish drinking coffee, I will go to work. Kondo okuretara yurusu nayo. Next time, when, if you are late, I will not forgive you. Once A is finished, then B is an action that is the result of A. Next up is ba. Yasukereba kaimasu. If it's cheap and only then, I'll buy it. Ame ga yameba kyou mo kaimono ni iku tsumori desu. If it stops raining, I intend to go shopping today also. B will happen only if the condition A is met, presents hypothetical situations and or possibilities. The last is nara. Kohi o nomu nara ano mise ga ii desu yo. Sorry. If you're looking to drink coffee, that shop over there is good. Kohi o nome nara ano mise ga ii desu yo. If you're looking to drink coffee, that shop over there is good. Samui no naraba jacketto o kiru to ii daro. If it is cold, you should wear a jacket. This is based on what you just said, the current situation, purely used when making guesses about what or may or could happen in certain situations. Now, I know I repeated one twice, but that was just because I messed up. So I wanted to try to do it a little bit better. Because I want to talk about mistakes, I'm not going to remove that mistake. I'm just going to leave it there. But let me talk about these conditionals. So, this is a lot. Like, four conditionals can be a little bit confusing, especially coming from English, where we just use if. And so, sometimes when you look at different Japanese grammar, it can feel systematic, and other times it can feel kind of vibes based. And I realize that it is, of course, systematic. Right? Tada. Once A is finished, then B is an action that is the result of A. So it's very systematic, but it's hard to feel that way. And so sometimes you do have to kind of feel the vibe to figure out which one to use, which I find kind of difficult to do. And so that's where I wanted to focus on this one as something I kind of rough on. Even though I can explain it and I can use the different ones, knowing when to use them is kind of where I have my difficulty point. Speaking of knowing when to use it, you're going to notice a theme in this video. So next, I want to talk about keigo. This one's a bit rough, but it hasn't tripped me up in real life like the conditionals. And one of the reasons is I don't have to use keigo so much right now. But to give you an idea, there's Song Keigo and Kinjugo and so on. I think if you look up Keigo, there's 5 levels. But you don't really, as a learner, need to concern yourself with all 5, thankfully. You just need to learn the basics. Because 5 levels and trying to think about that gives me the hives, to be honest. So, focusing in, I don't think that Keigo, particularly the parts that we learn, are specifically that hard. Like, you learn Keigo in Genki 2 a little bit. And then I think I'm learning some of it in um oh wow, my brain just died. Sorry guys. I'm learning a little bit in Quartet as well. And so that isn't what I feel is the hard part. No, to be honest, I think the hard part is knowing when the hell to use it. Um, for example, I have friends who are more advanced in Japanese than I am, or are damn good at Japanese, and they often talk about situations where they use it, um, and it's wrong. So, like, they're being too formal, or even vice versa. They're in a situation where they're being too casual. And so that's where my worry with Keigo is not learning it. I think I can learn it, but I think I'll have a lot of problems with knowing when to use it. Um, because for right now, I don't look Japanese, so there's a little bit of forgiveness in the, oh, you're adorable, you're learning. But that only takes you so far. Then, because I said three, we're going to head into the last one, which is Yoni. So, Yoni is not necessarily like similar in the same sense, but it does give me quite a bit of grief. So, we're going to be looking at Yoni, Yoni Suru, and Yoni Naru. And then I think there's one more, but we're not going to cover that today. Now, I think some people find these not so bad, but I've had problems with Yoni for years. Not gonna lie about myself. But I'm practicing more, and so now it's getting better, I think. I hope. But let's take a closer look. So there's Yoni, so that, in order to, in such a way that. So for example, manga ga yomeru you ni mainichi kanji o renshu shite imasu. I practice kanji every day so I can read manga. Manga ga yomeru you ni mainichi kanji o renshu shite imasu. I practice kanji every day so I can read manga. Then next is yoni suru, to try to make sure. Ashita kara hayaoki suru yo ni shimasu. Starting tomorrow, I'll make an effort to wake up early. And then last, yoni naru, to reach a point, to come to be that, to turn into. Wasabi ga taberareru yo ni narimashita. I've reached the point where I can eat wasabi. Wasabi ga taberareru yo ni narimashita. I've reached the point where I can eat wasabi. So once again, I made a few mistakes and I just repeated it to try to give you an idea of kind of where I make mistakes and where I need to like really improve, aside from like certain issues with pronunciation. That I have to work on um, in my own time. And so, as you can see, for the kind of set with Yoni, they're not really confusing in usage so much as remembering which is which. And that's where I still make mistakes. Uh, because they all start with Yoni, sometimes I just get them a little bit confused on if I should use Suru, Naru, or nothing. Uh, Although I think recently Yoni is not so bad, but Yoni Suru and Yoni Naru are a little bit rough. Um, Particularly when conjugating them into other things, I start to get like, oh, is it Yoni Nata or Yoni Shite? So that's where I'm in right there. And so these are the three areas that I wanted to talk about as like my trouble areas. And then let's hit the wrap up. So, as I've said 1,000 times, and will say 1,000 times more, I use Boonpro to help me with grammar memorization as well as understanding. In Boonpro, I have the range of Ghost to Seasoned on their SRS for the things that I'm studying. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, some days I'm a freaking star and I have all of my like checks here, everything's going smoothly, and then other days I might even get wrong ones I haven't seasoned, right? Where I feel like I should know them by now. But I think that's part of the learning curve is you're going to get things right and you're going to get things wrong. Sometimes even if you think you know them. So that's why I think that, like, especially with Japanese grammar, or I should say grammar in general, that practice is very important, because being able to explain the grammar is cool for, like, when you're talking to your learning friends. So, like, I love to, like, listen to people talk about grammar, um, that I'm trying to learn, but it's not going to be useful when I go out to actually, like, talk to a Japanese person. They don't care, and a little bit probably don't know. They just know how to use it. And so that's something to keep in mind when you're learning grammar, is to make sure that you're learning how to use it and not just what it is. Because I think that's a risk that has caused me some of these problems. Is right. I understand the different bas. Oh, look at me making a mistake. I understand the different ifs, conditionals, but I don't always know when to use them. Um, or yoni suru no inaru. I know them for the most part, but I still get them kind of mixed up at times. And so that's something to think about, as I hope that you guys, when you study grammar. So that's all for this video. Feel free to leave a comment if there's some difficult grammar that you want to highlight. Um, I might make another one of these videos in the future when I crop up on some new grammar points I'm suffering with. Or I might in the future kind of do a little video on how to, like, separate them out, keep them in mind, and use them better. But I'm afraid to do that right now because I think I don't use them well. So, once again, thanks for listening, and see you in the next video.